Self-love is having boundaries. It's keeping the people that don't know our worth outside and the people that cherish our worth inside. You see, because our boundaries are simply our standards. It's our standards plastered on our defense, right? It's plastered on our wall. You can't come in until you meet this criteria. You can't come in until you value who I am. You can't come in until you respect me, right? And so that is what our boundary is. It's a, hey man, caution. If you don't meet this criteria, you can't have access to me. Because you having access to me without meeting this criteria is what is going to damage me.
Hey y'all, it's your girl Abby and I'm back with another video. Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, I think we have some new friends here. My name is Abby and I make content about mental health, faith, and kind of integrating the two together. In my previous video, we talked about boundaries and the importance of doing the inner work so that you can maintain the boundaries you put in place. In this video, we are going to be talking about kind of the negative side that can come with putting up boundaries. And so I want to read one of the comments that you all shared because it brought up a very important topic of putting up boundaries that actually push people away. Before we do that, I just want to let you guys know that I have a weekly newsletter that you can sign up for with your email. If you scroll down to the description box, you will find it there and you can sign up. When you sign up for this newsletter, you will get weekly newsletters kind of just summarizing these videos, point form, a little synopsis of the things that we're talking about if you prefer to read it or have it on hand. Those newsletters are those notes already made for you. And so if that's something that you are interested in, definitely sign up using your email. Completely free, guys. Okay, completely free. Also, make sure you like this video and subscribe for more. Without further ado, let's get into it. Sure, boundaries are good to have, but be careful. If you put up too many, you'll find yourself trapped within some tall castle walls because no one wants to or is not capable of interacting with you in a genuine manner. Now, this is a very real concern to have. This is a very real thing that we actually have to address, is the fact that sometimes our boundaries puts up a wall where people can no longer interact with us. Do you ever notice or have conversations with people and you could just tell that they are either in therapy, have been in therapy, or are super into wellness? Having conversations with them is just not really organic or natural. You could tell that the lingo that they use is very much structured or very much centered around concepts that are, it's kind of like therapy talk. That's the way I talk. That's the way I make sense of it, is therapy talk. Is like you are speaking or having a conversation with someone not in an authentic manner, but just through the things that they have learned or gathered, right? And I think it is important to maintain authenticity even when we are putting up boundaries or we're learning more about ourselves or going on a healing journey or a wellness journey, right? We still want to have authentic conversations. And so it's important to know how to put up boundaries, but not use them in a way where they're pushing people away. Boundaries are to keep people in and not to push them away. It's so that the people that are in our lives, the people that want to come into our lives, so that they can actually stay there. Kind of the common rhetoric that we have with boundaries is, these are my boundaries, you can't come in if you don't meet them. But instead, it should be, these are my boundaries, this is what I need you to do so that you can stay close to me, so that you can be a close friend of mine, so that we can be friends, so that we can get along, so that we can be compatible, so that we aren't always in conflict. These are my boundaries. These are the things that I need you to do so that I can keep you in my life in a healthy way. This different way of looking at boundaries. Boundaries keep people close. Boundaries keep people in. Boundaries allow for true and authentic love. Let me just see where we are. Romans chapter 7, verse 13. When I mention verses, y'all have been correcting me. I'm definitely not like a scholar. I'm definitely not the most knowledgeable when it comes to the Bible. So I really do appreciate when you guys are like, actually, this is how you say it. Like, actually, this is how you quote a verse. Hopefully I'm getting this right. It's Romans chapter 7, verse 13. Y'all correct me if I'm wrong. But it goes like this. Okay, so what they said was, but how can it be? Did the law which is good cause my death? Of course not. Sin used what was good to bring about my condemnation to death. So we can see how terrible sin really is. It uses God's good commands for its own evil purposes. And that last phrase really stood out to me when I was thinking about boundaries, because it uses God's good commands for its own evil purposes. And is we use something that is good, but for our own evil purposes. And similarly, our boundaries are the same in that if we are just putting up boundaries to be strict, right? Maybe sometimes it's coming from a place of fear that we've been hurt before. And so we put up these tall walls to guard our heart, to guard our lives, right? But it isn't coming from a place of love. It isn't coming from a genuine place of wanting to connect people. Instead, it's coming from a place of fear. And so when you are setting up boundaries and when you are going about maintaining them, right? Doing that inner work, what kind of boundaries do I need to put up? How am I going to go about maintaining them? It's also important to do that very real heart check, right? What is the intention of this boundary? Why am I putting it up, right? Is my nature getting in the way of this? Am I being selfish in the way that I'm putting up boundaries where I only want people to serve what I want? Are my boundaries being skewed towards my preferences or genuinely what I need? And so it is very important to do that self-work. If you would like to pause the video here and do that, take out your journal, take out a pen, and start writing the boundaries that you have set up within the past couple of years, or boundaries that you want to put into your life, that you want to set up in your life. Write down those boundaries and then write down the reasons for putting them up, right? We can journal about these things so that we can get to the root of it. Why are we putting up these boundaries? Where is the root of this boundary? How is it going to serve me in my life? Because if we don't do this introspective work, we end up putting up these tall fences. We end up having these spears pushing people away, fighting people away, serving our comfort, serving our peace, right? Yes, boundaries bring peace into your life, but guess what? Life isn't about being peaceful 24/7. Life isn't about peace 24/7, right? With life comes chaos. With life comes confusion. With life comes roller coasters, ups and downs. It's a part of life. It's a natural part of life. Boundaries are completely different. Boundaries allow us to stay safe, but it isn't to bring us comfort. Life is not meant to be comfortable. Life is not meant to be comfortable at all, right? It's the uncomfortability. It's the uncomfortability that brings insight and excitement and adventure and learning lessons, and it's the journey of life. It's not meant to be totally peaceful. And so when we try and create that, we're actually going about creating something that is very much so unnatural, right? And that's why it can be harmful. It pushes people away. Even people that were once in your life, you start putting up boundaries and all of a sudden your friendships are changing and you're losing friends and you're isolated. That's a great sign to know that like your boundaries are actually not doing what they're supposed to do. If they're pushing everyone out of your life and distancing everyone out of your life, you might have to take a couple steps back and think about the boundaries that you are putting up and how you are putting them up. When we understand that even when we put our best foot forward, there is still a part of our humanity that is quote unquote evil, that is not pure, that is not always striving for what is good. And so it's very important to be mindful of the boundaries that we're putting up, right? And to do that inner work that only you can hold yourself accountable for. A lot of inner work is that, right? It's between you and you. It's between you and God. And so only you can really hold yourself accountable, because only you know when you are being honest. There is a difference between strict and following out of love. So Romans was written in the New Testament, right? And this was after Jesus had died on the cross. But before that, before the New Testament, in the Old Testament, the people what was considered holy was by following the rules, but was by being strict with the things that you put in your body, the way that you went to go about getting atonement, right? Sacrificing animals, burning incense. These were all things that you did to make atonement for your sin. And so they were very strict, because if you did something wrong, it had to be corrected. You had to be super strict with your morality, in a sense. I don't know if I'm using the right words, but you had to be very strict. Now, in the New Testament, there is a shift, right? When Jesus came, after Jesus, put his message out into the world, there was a shift. And that shift very much so was towards love, that we are called to act out of love. And so it isn't necessarily that we have to be strict in how we go about life, but that it should come from a genuine place within, right? That you would want to do good because it comes from a genuine place within. The law is strict. The law leaves no room for error. It has no grace. With Jesus, we learn that we are forgiven through him. It says that our righteousness is made through our obedience, but what makes us obedient? Is it the law? Is it our obligation to do what we are told? No, we all know how that works. Someone tells you that you have to do something and you make it a point to do the exact opposite. It didn't come from a place of love. When we are told what to do, when we are given these strict rules, it's very hard, or I guess it really depends on the type of person that you are. But for me, it's definitely hard to just be obedient to what someone says, because in my nature, I want to rebel. In my nature, I want to make it a point to do the exact opposite of what you told me to do, right? That's a rebellious spirit, right? But when you start to move in a different direction out of love, then the perspective shifts. Then you start moving completely different because it comes from a place of love. I think that's everything I wanted to say in this video. I really appreciate you guys for commenting all the things that you do, because it really adds insight into these videos and gives me insight into how you are, like, what you're taking from them, what you're grasping from them, what you're learning from them. So thank you guys for commenting and watching the video, giving it the time of day that you do. Really appreciate it. For this video, also comment your thoughts and anything that you have to share, anything that I missed, anything that has to do with boundaries and setting it up. I really appreciate you guys and I love you so much. And I guess I will see you in another video. Peace, love, and bye for now.
I have a very simple journaling routine where I simply write what I feel. It helps uncover the truths that sort of lay beneath the surface level of our day-to-day life. So, here are some journaling prompts for you to use. I want us all to have boundaries, but I want them to be authentic. And the best way at getting that is by writing and talking about them. So if you are in a quiet place or in an area where you can simply write, I want you to think about your boundaries. Write down one boundary that you have set or have been meaning to set. Beautiful. Now that you've got your boundaries sorted, let's talk about it. Okay. What do you hope this boundary will do? Will it bring them closer to you? Will it allow them to understand you deeper? Is this boundary rooted in a desire to feel safe and authentic? Is it giving insight into what you truly need? A boundary that I have been placing in my personal life is communication. I need constant communication and reassurance when starting and in a relationship. It's something that I've realized about myself and the history that I've had with relationships. I need to know that you care, that you are going to be there, and I need you to communicate that regularly. Without that, I kind of go stir crazy, and it isn't something that I am accepting about myself. It's actually something that I'm working on. But in the process of working on that, I need someone who is willing and able to communicate regularly. This is my boundary, and it's not my boundary to keep people away or set up my standards. It's my boundary so that I can connect deeply and intimately. I need communication. That is my boundary. It brings people closer to me. It allows me to open up to people, to form deep, intimate relationships. That is what a boundary is for. A boundary is to keep people and bring them closer. Take some time to write through your boundaries and answer these questions. Take some time to freely journal, stream of conscious journaling, where you're simply just writing about what you feel and what you have been thinking. Let me know in the comments what you guys got up to. I'm totally interested in reading all about it.